Calling Half-Life Alyx the best VR game ever made seems like an unfair assessment, mostly because it is one of, if not the only VR game made by a major game development company that is, well, any good. After arriving in this world, I began working my way down to street level, and after looking upon a strider, I found myself in an elevator. The destination of said elevator was a Combine raid. After witnessing my father get BDSM tortured by one of said raiders, I found myself in what I assumed to be the Town Pervert's van, but it actually was a Combine van. Fortunately, the drivers didn't last too long. As I collected the gravity gloves and the main facet of the run, the pistol, I got on the train to the edge of the quarantine zone. After hacking the terminal, I went into the place that the rest of the game would be located in, the quarantine zone. I also put a hollow set on my pistol. This would come in handy as it highlights crit spots on enemies. After meeting the Vortigaunt version of Gordon Ramsay, I pushed further into the sewer. It was here that the armored headcrab was introduced, and just in the next room, the shotgun. I grabbed the flashlight and looked upon some upgrades. Unfortunately, due to my recent purchase of the holosight, I couldn't really afford anything. In this area arose the first time that actual challenging combat appeared. In this area, a couple manhacks showed up. Fortunately, the pistol made short work of them, because they're really just glass cannons. Areas like this are really the only areas in Alyx that I'm not the fondest of. After collecting the valve, get it? I went on to fight the first instance of Combine soldiers, and get the burst modification for my pistol. I didn't really use this mod, but occasionally it came in handy. The most challenging part of this section wasn't the combat at all, but was just figuring out the energy barrier puzzle. I've done it before, I just can never remember it. After fixing the train terminal for Nod and improvising, the train crashed. I went through the wreckage to find my father and found him hanging from a piece of the wreckage. I tried to pull him up, but the wreckage broke and he fell. Fortunately, Vortigaunt Ramsay was there and did my job better than I ever could. Eventually, I found myself in the office of a train station, grabbed the yellow keycard, and found a guy who evidently had wondered why Chris Chan was trending on Twitter. After that, I looked upon the insane beauty of the vault, grabbed the blue keycard and some supplies, and then found the first instance of grenades. This would be a conundrum, but I ended up using them rarely, so I think it's okay. After Kobeing a grenade into a vent and seeing some Combine soldiers approaching the area, I went upgrade window shopping. Unfortunately, I had not amassed enough resin yet. After collecting more supplies, I met up with the Combine forces that were approaching my location, and let's just say they weren't happy to see me. After that, it was off to the Northern Star. And with the Northern Star came something I was worried about ammo-wise: lightning dogs. However, it seems my concerns were unfounded, because while fighting them did take longer than it would have with the shotgun, no duh, it was still extremely easy. This stage of the lightning dog's attacks were a little more challenging due to the tedium of waiting for another crit spot to crop up on the reanimated corpses, as well as the main attack of said reanimated corpses being so telegraphable and slow that you would need at least 10 of these things to make an actual challenge. But hey, you don't see me complaining. Actually, never mind, you just did. But now I had finally gotten enough resin to get the laser upgrade, which would help with accurate hipfire. Finally, the moment I was actually nervous for appeared, which was the double lightning dog fight. This fight wasn't as challenging as I thought it was going to be, but it was still more challenging than the first and second lightning dog fight. After vanquishing the dogs, I went to free the Vortigaunt. After an altercation with some more Combine, my recording glitched for a while and showed my taskbar, and I didn't realize it, so I had to cut out a lot of stuff. Sorry. After disarming a room of explosives, I came upon another area I was worried about. However, my concerns were for naught again. I also fully upgraded the pistol. When I entered the distillery, I met Larry, and after saving him from a barnacle, he got me acquainted with Jeff. However, I knew that I needed to take a closer look at that absolute specimen, so I pushed down to go meet him. After turning on the elevator power, I ended up in a one-night stand with Jeff in an elevator, and I guarantee you there exists Rule 34 art of what I just said. And I regret saying.
Who even watches this smut?
After that, I found myself in front of 3 battery receptacles. Luckily, I had done the puzzles for all 3 of them before, so this would be speedy. And as if the trash compactor wasn't bad enough, Jeff also got hit by a car. Trust me, it happened. After pushing down into the antlion tunnel, I didn't encounter any antlions, but I did encounter an underground entrance to a zoo. I didn't even have a use for resin at this point, but it gives me the big neuron activation moment, so I'm going to continue to do it. This was the first look at the Source 2 antlions, and while they might be walking wastes of pistol ammo, they sure do look good. I should also say that the mounted grenade launcher and the Vortigaunt magic don't count as only the pistol, so I won't fail the run when I use them at the end. This was the first instance of antlion combat, and it can be extremely frustrating if you don't hit your shots, which I didn't do too much of. When I first started this video, I said that I hesitated to call this game the best VR game ever made, because every other contender is made by like 10 people at most, by a studio that wasn't even a studio until the success of said game, but screw it, Half-Life Alyx is the best VR game ever made. This area also gave me another idea for a Half-Life Alyx challenge, which was, can you beat Half-Life Alyx with a tiger mask on? As I remember, these tiger masks obstruct your vision an extreme amount. So if I find out a way to spawn those in the first chapters of the game, I will probably make a challenge that is Half-Life Alyx with the tiger mask. This is another instance that reminds me that I should have clarified the rules earlier in the run, but if I shoot an explosive of any kind with a pistol and it kills an enemy, that is completely valid. I still need to do it. I said before that Vortigaunt combat was really challenging for you to hit your shots, but eventually it kind of becomes a second nature. Barrels and a Combine soldier's oxygen tank. Half-Life and Death Stranding in the same universe confirmed. Game theory.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Game Theory. And on this episode, we're going to be trying to figure out who the fuck asked.
After lowering the energy barrier, I looked at some more imprisoned vorts and went to the surface for the home stretch. This was the only part I was concerned about going in that actually ended up being somewhat annoying. I had to leave this clip in because it's literally nothing like it in the VR world.
The last substation.
Oh, let me see. Eli, the boss just took down the last substation. Brace yourself, Alyx. It's gonna come down.
What the?
Evacuated a backup! Tell Alyx there's no way that backup is stable. She can shut it down. Your dad says...
This is the stage where the antlion combat gets a little bit old. After that, I entered what I like to call Mossman's hideout, because that is definitely her talking to the advisor. Here is where the lightning antlion first appeared. Ammo and meds were becoming more abundant. This is the part that I was concerned about that actually ended up being annoying. Eventually I decided to stop wasting pistol ammo and just run for it. After solving the puzzle, I put a bunch of garbage on my shotgun because I had 50 resin stored up, and I just was bored. After scaling the tower, I lowered the vault. Yeah. Seeing all these things in VR is really cool. Once again, I'm gonna say it once again. Using the mounted grenade launcher to take care of the Strider is completely fine. And at least in my book, because I wouldn't be making this video if I didn't count the mounted grenade launcher as not the pistol. Or as the pistol. Whatever. After making short work of the Strider, unfortunately the pistol and I had to part ways. This wouldn't be the end of our journey quite yet, but it is definitely the beginning of the very, very, very end. Now that I was out of the complex, it was time to have a little bit of fun. And after having some fun, I approached the core of the vault where I believed Gordon Freeman had been kept. Unfortunately, there was a surprise in store for me. And after that surprise, I beat Half-Life Alyx with only the pistol. If you're still listening to this, thank you so much for reaching the end of the video. This has been one of my more ambitious projects because there was a first version of this that I ended up scrapping. This is the second version, and it's been really just a thank you if you got to the end of the video. If you didn't like the video and you aren't subbed, please do so. I only have like 13 subs, so you'll be on the ground level of something that I believe could be great. So please do. Thank you.